Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So right here we are on our free-to-play VN account, and Ravaged Realm just dropped on the VN server. So as usual, we're gonna run through my best day one free-to-play team right here, and in the future, right, in the next few days, if I have better team options as well as better teams in general, I'll probably release a few videos to talk about it. So for today's video, we're gonna run through the mechanics of the boss and then talk about my best teams, the different synergies, and if I can get my hands on a stronger account that's able to showcase more, we'll probably do that. But without further ado, let's start with Novik's skill, right? So Novik is the boss this time around, and for those of you guys who are not familiar with Ravaged Realm, with Primal Lord, the boss's damage actually increases based on the damage that they take. So the more damage that they take, the more damage they will deal back to your team. So this is where Novik actually hits pretty hard, and survival is going to be a thing. So this is a recurring topic which I'll mention a few times, because for Novik's skill over here, let's run through the skills. Okay, Ultimate Dark Ritual launches 20 orbs to strike all enemies, each one dealing 50% damage, and each enemy can be struck up to 10 times. So there's a little bit of RNG because it's 20 orbs strike at random enemies. So if let's say your main carry gets struck 10 times, it's quite a fair bit of damage, and if your team is not tanky enough, if you don't have enough sustain, then your units might start to melt from this skill alone. So this is very painful, but I'll say if you have heals, which I think Gravebond's side has quite a few, you should be, I'll say, like easily managing this, because the orbs are not like, you know, one shot 10 orbs, like it will just land one by one. And then this is where, if let's say you have Ludovic, or if you have some sort of healing artifact, or if you have, like for example, Niru, which can burst heal, you can actually heal yourself back out of the damage taken. So that's for the Dark Ritual side. Second skill, Shadow's Embrace. This skill at the start of battle, and again after 45 seconds, which is the midway mark, you get a protective barrier which reduces damage taken by 80%, right, as long as the sigil is active. So this sigil expires after taking 200 hits, and each attack from the faction talent prime carriers counts as 5 hits. So this is I'll say like a skill where you kind of want to remove as fast as possible by dealing 200 hits. So units that gives you like multiple hits or every like ticks per second, like for example Bonnie, units like Valka that buffs up the attack speed of your allies, they are decently good for this one. Other units which are good will be like Talon, for example, right, just dealing a lot of damage per tick per second. So yeah, any unit that can attack super fast is also really good for this one. So that's for Shadow's Embrace. Okay, and then for the third skill, we have Wicked Summon. So this one rises and pushes down, dealing damage, pretty simple damage with control on the frontmost units in terms of your lineup. So that's for the Wicked Summon. And then we have the Wicked Summon Part 2. Curses the enemy with the most cumulative damage dealt, reducing their attack by 20% and dealing damage per second for 8 seconds, prioritizing non-summon enemies. So this one will debuff your strongest damage dealer, and in most cases you kind of have to have a dual carry strategy, because at this point you should have 2 prime carrier slots. So dual carry strategy will probably be the best way to go, so that you can rotate between the 2 units for maximum damage, such that you reduce the impact from Wicked Summon right here. And then last skill, Devouring Scourge. Charges briefly, then strike the 1 tile arc with the most enemies, dealing damage to the enemies within. So basically another skill that deal damage based off the area with the most enemies. So yeah, just a whole bunch of damage skills with this defensive Shadow's Embrace right here. And I think the most important part would be trying to form a team that's able to reduce the sigil as fast as possible, so that you don't like deal reduced damage for too long, and then build a team with sufficient survival such that you can take Dark Ritual, you can take Wicked Summon Part 1, Wicked Summon Part 2, as well as Devouring Scourge right here. So without further ado, let me check how many attempts I left. I think I'm left with like 3, so I'll be leaving 2 in case like there's a better team, and you know, like I can actually optimize my damage. But these are all the different runs that I did with the Gravebond side. So let me find my best team and jump into it. Okay, so I'll be including my team code from the VN server. So if you're on a VN server, feel free to copy these team codes and then use it for your own account. If you're on a global server, unfortunately the VN codes will not be available for you, so you will have to manually paste the unit based on the positioning I showcase here. So let's go into this one. Yeah, so this is my max damage 83 build over here. So let's run through the units as well as the different artifacts and also the synergies. So for this one, if you take a look at my Grave Bonds over here, ideally you use your strongest few units, right, with a little bit of synergy inbuilt into the team. So the first team runs Bonnie as well as Talin as the main damage dealer, because Talin and Bonnie does phenomenal damage, right? If your Talin's built up, she's able to do a lot of damage while surviving a lot better, and then she's also able to heal your team up, providing that sustain. We have our dear Bonnie here, because my Bonnie's built up to Supreme Plus with EX10. I'm gonna buff her up with the likes of Niru to give me like that little bit of attack buff from Niru's magic charm. We're linking our Talin to Torrent, such that Torrent can take a little bit of damage for Talin, because my Talin is pretty weak, like at only a 1 copy, so she takes a lot of damage from all the different damage sources from the boss as we build up more damage. And this is where Torrent not only protects Talin better, so that she's able to survive longer to channel her ultimate. Basically that's what Talin do, right? Channel ultimate and do damage. He's also able to absorb more damage from Sopak to retaliate with the ultimate. So this is where you let Torrent do more damage while absorbing damage for Talin, so that she's able to channel her skill. And last but not least, our Torrent is also a debuffer with the magic charm over here, reducing physical and magical defense with additional damage. So this is Torrent's role in the team. And last but not least, Ludovic. So Ludovic's damage output is okay, not the strongest amongst the group, but Ludovic will be very crucial to keep the sustain going for your Talon to channel the ultimate. So this is team number 1. I am trying out different artifacts, but so far I find the most success with Harmonic Spell on this team. So depending on your units built up, depending on like which of your unit is stronger, maybe Blade Summon's better, because Blade Summon has a little bit of defensive stats with additional debuffs, with additional true damage. If you need more heals, right, I also tried Sanctum Spell over here. This one gives you that very consistent heal for the team, but then it reduces your damage output greatly. So I'll say for the artifact side, find the best balance based on your team composition and your units. So that's for team number 1. Okay, Harmonic, Bonnie, right, behind our Niru, cause my Bonnie stronger, so Niru's charm buff, which gives me that true damage conversion as well as that 10% attack buff, gives my Bonnie the better damage output. And Talin is behind our Torrent, because my Talin is more frail. So if your Talin is stronger, she has no issue surviving without Torrent, then you might want to switch out the positioning, right, such that your Niru can buff up your Talin. Because in this case, I think Talin should do more damage as Supreme Plus, because at 1 copy my Talin's damage is very close to Bonnie. So that's with regards to the positioning. Now for the second team, okay, Shamira's pretty busted for this boss, cause like first of all, Shamira's ghost summon is 10 ghosts. So yeah, once she comes out with her ultimate, you will be able to break the Shadow's Embrace really easily. And Shamira has her own inbuilt heal to survive the damage output of the boss while dealing a lot of damage to the boss concurrently. And then we have Valka right here. So Valka buffs up the attack speed for all the allies while dealing decent amount of damage. If you have her built up, I just resetted her, but I'm using her more for her debuffs of the charm, as well as her ability to buff my ally, as well as her attack speed to quickly remove the barrier from the sigil skill itself. So that's for Valka. And then we have our dear Carolina, which is another Supreme Plus unit in my account, with the ability to debuff the magical defense of the enemy while dealing decent damage. Okay, so I kind of forgot in the previous recording, but right here we're going to run through the charms I use before we start the battle. So for Torrent's case, we are using our dear Blast Set for the additional attack and ultimate power, so that Torrents can jam in more damage. Next we have our dear Bonnie. So I use this for Bonnie because yeah, her damage mainly relies on her decay switch as well as her ultimate damage. But if you want to sort of try and error with regards to Bonnie, you might want to give this Glory Charm a try, because attack speed increase does allow Bonnie to fire a little bit faster, and that might help with removing the sigil faster as well, to maybe jam in more damage, right, because of the ability of the boss. So these are the different charms you can try. And then next we have Niru. So I went with our dear Recovery Charm for the additional healing and skill power for more damage, such that I can keep my units alive, right, keep my Talin HP up. So that's for Niru. And then Ludovic, pretty standard charm inside, maximum HP percentage and skill power for heal and damage. And then we have Talin. Talin's charm is the same as Torrent over here, Blast Charm V. And for the next 3 Graveborn, Shamira as well as Carolina is also their optimal charm. So Carolina is this one. Okay, Arcane over here. And then for our dear Shamira is also the most optimal. So let me find Shamira. Okay, Shamira's right here. Okay, so same as our dear Talin, Blast Charm, same as Torrent and Talin. Last but not least, Valka, right? So Valka is Gale Charm for the attack speed buff. So I think if you find that your, I'll say Valka's not surviving as well at 1 copy, and then you want her to survive better, you can equip the more defensive charms to keep her alive. But for my case, I think Gale is more than sufficient, while still giving me that attack speed for her to quickly remove the sigil. So that's for the charms of my units. Okay, so here's the updated run with all the best charms. So this is my formation as shown just now with all the units, and without further ado, let's run through the replay where we break down the mechanics of the boss. Okay, so right here at the start of battle, my Nero will cast the ultimate, which will buff up my Bonnie's damage output because of the attack buff as well as the spirit form. Okay, and then the boss will debuff the Bonnie because she's my highest damage dealer. So at the start, you will see a purple barrier around the boss. That's the sigil skill, which is a skill that reduces damage from your team. So being able to remove the sigil as quickly as possible will increase your damage output, and we are going to remove it as fast as possible with the likes of Shamira as well as Valka buff in the second team. And in the first team, Bonnie's damage over time together with all the different tick damage that all these different units can do, like Ludovik's pulsing is considered 1 hit, and then for Talin's ultimate, every second is 1 hit as well, but as a prime carrier is 5 hits, so on and so forth. So this way you have a lot of different ways to give you that quick removal on the shielding. Okay, and this shield will come back near the 45-second mark right here, as you guys can see from the purple barrier. So you regenerate, and then you want to quickly remove it as soon as possible. Okay, and then for us, we are able to remove it within 5 seconds, which is, I'll say, really amazing. The only thing which I think could help me do more damage would be maybe getting my Talin to a higher tier, cause Talin's damage output in this boss is actually probably stronger than Bonnie if they are both on the same tier. But unfortunately for my Talin, because she's only at 1 copy, she takes more damage, she dies more frequently, and she doesn't do as much damage as compared to my Bonnie. So do the necessary adjustments based on your account. So that is for this run. Okay, so with the sustain from Ludovik, with the sustain from Nero as well as the spirit form, my whole team is able to stay alive for the full duration for me to do 50 build damage right here. So this is team number 1. Okay, 50 build right here. So if Talin didn't change into the egg form that much, I could probably hit way harder. Okay, and then for the second team, let's run through the second team right here. So you can see Shamira, even at 1 copy, does so much damage. And let's start the replay. Okay, so Sigil is right here. Valka's job, buff up the attack speed of all the allies as well as attacking the boss really quickly to remove this shield over here, right? So for the second phase, once Shamira summons the ghost right here, you can see this shield just breaking almost immediately because Shamira's ghost is multi-hit. Okay, so I'm not sure whether or not each hit is considered 5 hits, but I guess Shamira's own attack should be 5 hits and then the ghost should only be 1 hit, because like I don't think the ghost is considered a prime carrier. So that's that with regards to the mechanics for Shamira. Okay, so that's something that I want to make a disclaimer. But with this right here, we're going to speed up the process. So Carolina and Valka with their respective debuff will amp up the damage for my prime carriers, and then Shamira will be the main prime carrier, which is able to heal herself up, so you don't actually need that much protection on Shamira. But for my Shamira, she's only at 1 copy, so I'm using Surging Spell for the additional defensive stats and the crit, like I mentioned earlier, with the additional magical damage, because this team has quite a bit of magical damage debuff. So you can see the shield still staying up. It's not as fast as the first team, but I'll say really fast considering this team only has 3 units. Okay, so we're going to speed up the process. So right here is just about finding the balance of surviving while dealing damage with Shamira. If my Shamira is more built up, I think she should be able to survive the full duration. Right here, I think she's going to die like near the 10 seconds mark. But yeah, we don't have enough sustain, so Carolina fell right here. Okay, and then Valka fought right here. Shamira 1v1s the boss. Okay, so she died unfortunately with 5 seconds left, and this is my best free-to-play team on day 1 for the Graveborn faction. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys!